Clay Green.
Stop searching for the miracle and be the miracle. This ain't gonna be lyrical, this is straight facts. Stop waiting on the change and be the change. This ain't new news, this go way back. Stop waiting on someone to get it for you, go get it for yourself. Take your pride back. If God is your motivator, then you can do all things. Believe that. My power is divine, every line aligned with the higher power. Receive that.
I want to start with something that might sound disrespectful, but it's truly out of love. Some of y'all are not deep. You're just dramatic. And some of you are not sensitive or misunderstood. You're uncontrolled and you're unregulated. And some of you are not real. You're just reactive. And believe it or not, some of you are not led by the Spirit. You're led by whatever mood you woke up with this morning. And again, I say this with love, because if I don't tell you the truth, your emotions will keep telling it for me. And they've already been lying to you long enough. Welcome back to Lies Changes Truth. I'm your host, BK Bless. And if this episode touches your spirit, please like, share, and subscribe, and follow me on my socials. Because the more people that we can get these messages out to, the more people can be healed. So today, we're confronting a lie that has quietly ruined marriages. It's destroyed friendships. It's split churches, wrecked families, and stalled spiritual growth for generations. The lie is, if I feel it, it must be true. Wait, what? Sometimes if you feel it, it just means you're hungry, not going anywhere for a while. It could also mean you're tired, that you're triggered, insecure, unhealed, or it could be all five. Elijah, he thought he wanted to die, but God fed him and told him to take a nap. 1 Kings 19. Go and look it up for yourself. See, sometimes your emotions are not spiritual. They're biological. Your emotions should not be trusted to lead your decisions. And if you keep letting them, they'll cost you everything you prayed for. Because when emotions take the wheel, wisdom usually ends up in the trunk. And I want you to understand that I'm not talking about feeling things. You're human. You're supposed to feel. I'm talking about being led by your emotions. If every decision you make depends on how you feel today, or how someone made you feel, what tone you heard, or what intention you assumed, then you're not mature. You're ruled by emotions. And that's dangerous. Proverbs 16:32 says, better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. Let's all think about that for a minute. God says emotional control is greater than physical power. So when did emotionally reckless start passing as being real? I mean, somewhere along the way, we must have been taught explicitly or quietly that our emotions are facts. If I feel disrespected, then I was disrespected. If I feel unloved, then nobody loves me. If I feel overwhelmed, then my life must be falling apart. But feelings are indicators. They're not judges. They tell you that something is going on the inside, but they don't always tell you what's actually happening on the outside. Jeremiah 17:9 says, the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? Now I want you to pause, because that verse isn't saying that your heart is evil. It's saying that your emotions are inconsistent narrators because sometimes they exaggerate. Sometimes they'll leave out context, and sometimes they'll lie straight to your face. I want you to be honest. Most of your bad decisions, they weren't thought all the way through. They were felt through. That text you shouldn't have sent. Emotion. That conversation where you blew up instead of breathing and thinking it through. Emotion. That relationship you walked away from too fast or stayed too long. Emotion. That purchase you now regret. Emotion with a maxed out credit card. Emotions will have you reacting when God is calling you to respond. Proverbs 14:29 says, "Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but one who is quick-tempered displays folly." In other words, haste exposes immaturity. The ability to stop and pause for a second reveals wisdom. And I'm not scared of none of you beautiful souls. So we're going to go there. Some of you don't listen, and it's not because you don't hear, but because your emotions have already decided the verdict. You don't really ask questions. You already assume the motives, and you're not seeking clarity. You're seeking confirmation. That isn't wisdom at work. That's pride pretending to be spiritual. Proverbs 18:2 says, "Fools find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own opinions." You know what that means? Emotionally driven people, they don't want the truth. They just want to be right. Because some people don't struggle with communication because they lack words. They struggle because their emotions decide what the words mean before the conversation even starts. You ever talk to somebody and realize they were never really listening? They were just waiting. They were waiting to defend. They were waiting to be offended and waiting to win. James 1:19 tells us, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. That's emotional discipline. But emotional people don't listen to understand. They listen to confirm how they feel. And feelings love confirmation. And being right, it's cost you relationships that you now pray God will restore. And you might not like what I'm going to say next because it might sting a little, especially if the shoe fits. Some of y'all are always hurt. You're always offended, and you're always misunderstood, and you're always the one who was done wrong. Now, at some point, we have to ask the question, what if the common denominator is you? Lamentations 3:40 says, "Let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord." But emotions hate examination, accountability, and they despise mirrors. Because mirrors don't care how you feel. They just show what is. There's something else emotions like to do. They like to distort size. Now, what do I mean by that? See, when you're emotional, your problems feel bigger than they really are. Your mistakes feel unforgivable, and somebody else's struggle always feels smaller than yours. But you don't know what the next person survived. You don't know what they prayed through, and you have no idea what they buried quietly. Ecclesiastes 7:9 says, "Do not be quickly provoked in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools." Emotions slowly diminish empathy, but perspective resuscitates it. Emotions don't just make us feel. They can change the whole narrative. They might say things like, they don't care about me. When really, they just didn't respond fast enough. Or God abandoned me, when he's actually trying to teach you patience. They also might say, I'm being attacked, when you're being rightfully corrected for your horrible conduct. I'm serious. Your feelings will lie to you if you let them. Your emotions can feel right and still lead you wrong. And I'm not being poetic. I'm trying to warn you. Because your feelings are capable of deceiving you without your permission. Now, this is important. And maybe this is where we find some of that perspective for our lives. Jesus also felt overwhelmed. He felt sorrow and anguish, but he never let his feelings override his assignment. Luke 22:42, Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done. Jesus acknowledged his emotions. Some of us, we stop at acknowledgement and call it growth. That's not maturity. See, Jesus acknowledged the feeling, then he submitted it. That's the model. Feelings say, do what feels right. Faith says, do what is right. Galatians 5:16 says, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. Some decisions don't feel good, but they save your future. So, some conversations feel uncomfortable, but they bring peace. So, some pauses feel weak, but they prevent destruction. Maya Angelou said, I don't trust people who don't love themselves and tell me, I love you. Can I add to that? I don't trust decisions that weren't filtered through wisdom. Please, silence the noise and all distractions and just listen. You blame people for damage your emotions caused and for wounds they keep reopening. You called your reactions boundaries when they were avoidance. You called your silence peace when it was fear. You called it honesty, but it was unresolved pain. But this season, he's not soothing you. He's strengthening you. You will feel deeply, but you will no longer be ruled by what you feel, because he's calling you higher than your feelings. You will no longer be mastered by moods, reactions, or offense. He's restoring authority by restoring discipline. Proverbs 29:11 says, fools give full vent to their rage, but the wise bring calm in the end. God is calling you out of emotional adolescence. Proverbs 25:28 says, like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. He's rebuilding your walls, but you have to stop leaving the gate open. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about standing firm. Because change looks like pausing before responding, asking questions and starting to check facts before making assumptions, asking yourself, what else could be true about this situation? Giving it some time and cooling down when the emotions get heated, and submitting your feelings to God instead of obeying them blindly. Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is space. In that space is our power to choose our response. That space is where your future lives. The truth, your emotions are not evil, but they are not qualified to lead. If you don't master your emotions, they will master you. If you don't discipline your reactions, they will destroy your peace. If you don't slow down, you will keep repeating the same pain with new people. But if you grow, if you pause, if you submit your feelings to truth, I can promise you, your life will change. Not overnight, but permanently. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind." A sound mind doesn't panic. It doesn't explode, and it doesn't spiral. It chooses how to respond effectively because it chooses truth over impulse. Now I'm going to say this like I'm sitting across from you at the dinner table because I love you too much to let you keep calling your emotional chaos personality. You're not broken, but God has more for you than reaction, more than offense, more than emotional exhaustion. You are not weak because you feel deeply. You're weak when you refuse to grow. You're responsible for your reactions. You're responsible for your words and for the emotional climate you create. Healing starts when you stop excusing what God is asking you to confront. And the moment you stop letting emotions lead is the moment peace finally catches up with you. That's today's conversation on episode 44 of Lies Changes Truth. I'm your host, BK Blessed. Until next time, stay wise, get your emotions in check, and stay you.
Be alright, you gon' be alright. Have no fear, cause he's right here. You gon' be alright, you gon' be alright. This is your time, this is your life. You gon' be alright, you gon' be alright. Be a motivator, be an innovator, be the best you. Block out the haters, winners fail and fail, but a failure quits. Go through the fire, cause your path is lit. You'll get through the pain, it might hurt a bit. That's how you get your weight up, so move all these mountains. Knock down these walls and break all these bricks. Don't let the devil fool you, see through the tricks. Can you feel the power? Yeah, you getting stronger. Can you make it through? Yeah, you got through harder. See, the time is now, can't wait no longer. Cast out the fears, no more paranoia. This is destiny, time to grab a hold. This is meant to be, time to let it go. Believe in yourself, God's in control. This the realest thing I ever wrote, to whom it may concern. This is your life, this is your time. You gon' be alright, you gon' be alright. Follow God's plan, follow his light. You gon' be alright, you gon' be alright. Have no fear, cause he's right here. You gon' be alright, you gon' be alright. This is your time, this is your life. You gon' be alright, you gon' be alright.